Knicks and bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Blackest Time. Got the Queen with me in the building. Peace, Queen.
Peace. How you doing? How's it going?
I'm good. It feels like forever. Like I know it's been a week. You know what I mean?
Right,
Since
right.
we've shared the stage, but it feels like a long time. It's
It's been
probably
like, yeah, you're right. Like it's been longer than that.
it's probably because of the stretch. You know what I mean? The Knicks have been in. To be honest, I know we gotta talk about that or Queens Court next, but yeah, it definitely feels like it's been a minute. Um, Definitely feels good to catch up right
Yeah,
now after a good win.
yeah,
Just beat the Atlanta Hawks 110-119, a team that we haven't beat this year. They
right,
beat us twice. Um, once in the fourth quarter, and then the other one was pretty handedly.
right.
Um, yeah, man, it's a big win. Potential playoff opponent. If the
Yeah,
playoffs started right now, this would be the matchup.
right.
And I ain't gonna lie, coming into this game, I was a little worried. Um, how about yourself? I mean, we'll talk about the game a
I,
little
I
bit.
was a, I was a little worried too because we haven't been playing well. Towns has been hurt, so I didn't know whether he was going to play or not. But also, I watched their game against Boston. And they beat Boston, but just how they were down early, how they were able to fight and get back in the game, and how it seemed like they were going to lose that game, and they forced overtime and then won in overtime. So yeah, they're impressive. They are impressive.
Yeah. Um, Beat us twice, beat Cleveland twice, beat Boston twice. I
Yeah,
think they're the only team to have done that feat.
right,
Um, and was on a great stretch where they kind of turned their season around.
right.
Because they didn't start the season off great. Might say we kick started that in one of our wins, maybe losses. The
Hmm.
first loss might have kick started them turning their season around. To be honest,
Right.
um, but yeah, this is a quality win. All star implications. We're young and Brunson, because
Hmm.
I don't think Brunson's getting in as a starter at this moment. So you know what I mean. They could be potentially fighting for that spot. One could say Young had the edge on
Hmm.
the head to head part.
Hmm.
You know what I mean. Obviously, team and our team record is better, so
Hmm.
who knows how they go with the voting. But
Hmm.
this was a very very quality win. I'm happy, and then the aesthetics of the game, it looked awesome.
Yeah.
Like we played team basketball. And then there's an elephant in the room.
Hmm.
I I, I won't mention it unless you do. But go ahead. What'd you see in tonight's game? Maybe something I didn't mention, or if you want to elaborate on what you saw.
I
Shout out to
mean,
the chat, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Shout out to Sim. I know
yeah. Shout
he's
out to
usually doing the post game. He's occupied, so I'm
yeah.
gonna jump in here.
I think three things stuck out for me: the defensive intensity, attacking the mismatch with Bridges and Young. Though I don't think they could have done it even more than they
More.
did.
Hmm.
And then Brunson figuring out Dyson, just figuring out how to um, play his game and get to where he needs to get to. He's a very smart player. He probably was doing watching film,
Hmm.
on Dyson Daniels, just kind of see where he can get his angles from. And he was a maestro today. Dyson was super frustrated, trying to guard him, got a technical foul, because Brunson was giving him the business.
Got in his
And
head.
yep, yep, yep. Um, and and I think that just goes to show, we can talk as much as we want about physical guys, long guys. Brunson is Brunson, and eventually he's gonna figure it out. It's one game, but he figured it out. So yeah,
That's,
those are the three things off the top that I noticed. It was good to see Shamit get a little run, and after two DNPs, and I wonder if Thibodeau was like, you know what, I don't want to lose him totally. I don't know if it was just we need him, we're gonna put him in, or if it was, you know what, I don't want to lose him totally. Let's put him in, give him some burns. So yeah, yeah. And Jarrell said Bridges only played 27 minutes. I didn't even notice that.
yeah, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Um, I mean, I think OG was 41, and I'll get into some of the stats. I got some of them up, so I mean, I'll get into some of them. Oh, that could have very well been the elephant in the room. I mean, Brunson figuring out Dyson Daniels. That wasn't what I was
Hmm.
referring to, but I mean, let's keep it on. Let's be honest. Dyson played him well those first two games, and
Without a doubt.
I mean, I do my research in the comments. The Hawks fans, he's their Brunson stopper, and you know what I mean. They was feeling themselves off of his performance, and it's not just Brunson. Like he's been a legitimate conversation for defensive player of the year, um, and all defensive teams. So yeah, great to see him figure it out. That's a beautiful point. And to my point of this being that playoffs potential playoff matchup, I felt like it was a playoff atmosphere,
For
right?
sure.
It was a playoff intensity, and when it comes to the playoffs, that's one of those attributes you're gonna have to have as an individual and as a team is figuring things out, right? So it's great that he didn't have to wait until a playoff matchup to do it, and he gets to show it and figure some things out in the regular season. But that's just a credit to Brunson and his game. To your credit, like you said, he figures it out, whether it's a shooting slump, individual opponent, a team defense, a scheme, whatever it is. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It may take a day, it may take a couple games, it may take you know what I mean, some time, but he'll figure it out, and he'll figure it out relatively quickly.
Right.
Um, what was the other 2 points? I'm sorry, yeah, because they were all
Just
great.
taking advantage of Trey Young with
Mismatch.
Bridges, and what was the last one? We talked about Brunson, Bridges. I forgot what the last point was. I
Well, well,
forgot.
let's break down the Bridges one, because I think that's also. I mean, you said you wish they would have did it more. Maybe you could elaborate. I didn't really. Well, you also referenced the 27 minutes. I do think that was a huge part to do with it, because I was gonna say it felt like it was utilized a lot. It was huge in the third
The
quarter.
third quarter. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it was still utilized periodically in the first half.
Hmm.
Um, I guess we would have to look back and see where he
I would
sat
have to look
the
back.
majority of his minutes, because even though I knew it was a spread out team performance, I didn't think he had 27 minutes. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Neither did
that's great to hear.
I.
But
And it's good to see the bench minutes up. 17 for Precious, 10 for
that's
Shamit, 12 for
there
12
you
for
go.
Payne. So like even if you don't want to extend the rotation, you can give the bench players that you do play more minutes, right? And that can help alleviate the minutes of the starters.
And Queen, that was my elephant in the room. For all the people, including myself, not as heavily as the majority of you know what I mean. It seemed like the Knicks fan base has been on tips about this was the one. Like there should be no complaints. I seen a few comments on Bleacher Report. All right, this is what we want for Tibbs. This is what we've been asking for. Immediately. You know what I mean? Tommy Bear, I think
Mhm.
he tweeted it's the first time all season 9 starters played more than 9 minutes in a non-blowout game. So I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I don't know how regular this. occurrence will become. I do think us playing tomorrow has a lot to do with it. But it being successful, it does open the door for, you know, Tibbs to kind of lean towards that way. But to me, that was my elephant in the room, my biggest standout in the game. He went to guys early. He sat guys longer. Um, I think, like I said, I think OG had 41 minutes, but
Yeah,
other than that, you know what I mean. And he was the least aggressive. You know what I mean. We could talk about OG. He had 4 shot attempts, I
right.
think.
Yes, it
Um,
was 4-2 for 4.
so you know what I mean. But his defense and his activity, he had 9 rebounds, I believe, right?
9 rebounds.
You know what I mean. So his activity was there, and his impact was there. But yeah, this was great.
What I want to add to the bench is, you got to return the favor. It's not just getting more minutes to get more minutes. When you get more minutes, you have to do something with the
Hmm.
minutes. Now, I'm not expecting this bench to be a juggernaut offensively, but whatever you can do, to help, just have good moments. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And I thought Precious had good moments. Shamit with the dunk and his defense. I think his defense is pretty good since he's been here. And Campaign has been on a tear. And Monica said that when she was speaking, Monica McNutt, when she was speaking to him, he said, "I want to play
I
and I
want
want
to
to help
impact.
the team."
Yep.
And I think there was like a few games where he just came in and he ran the team, but he wasn't his offensive aggressive self. And
Hmm.
his minutes was dwindling. His minutes was dwindling. And I don't know if he said, "You know what? I got to get back to being my aggressive self." And it's been like what, maybe 3, 4 games where he's been back to the Shaman, at least that I remember, to start the season.
Not trying to fit in.
Right,
Um,
right,
that defense tonight. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but I also think this was one of our better defensive performances all season long, especially considering what we've seen in the 2 previous matchups against this particular team.
right,
Um, the Johnson kid,
right.
who I wasn't aware of the first game. You know what I mean? Second game, he still that's when he really earned my respect,
Hmm.
and we did a great job on him tonight. And Bridges' defense on Trey Young was outstanding,
Outstanding.
outstanding. You know what I mean? Like he, this is what we was asking for with Wingstop. You know what I mean? This is what we was expecting. Um, you can't stop these guys, these stars.
No,
You know what I mean? But that type of effort, where nothing's gonna be easy, it's gonna be a long night, and they have to put the same amount of effort offensively that you're putting in defensively to make a bucket. That's what we need night in and night out. Um, and they got chippy, and I think that helped,
I like that.
which was a great thing to see from this team.
Yeah. I wonder if Bridges' 27 minutes helped him,
Mm.
helped him have the energy to play Young the way he played him and contribute on the offensive end. I wonder if it would have been the same had he played close to 40 minutes. Maybe it would have, but it's possible that that really helped to keep him fresh.
Yeah,
You know,
I want to see. Pardon me. I want to see how much he played in the second half because he did get in foul trouble in the first half. So I know he probably sat a
I'll
good
tell you
chunk
right now.
then.
In the second half, he played 12 minutes, and he didn't have any personal fouls in the second half.
Mm, 12 minutes. That means he played more than 12 in the first half with the foul trouble,
Yeah, in the first half,
which is great.
um, he played 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 17 seconds, and he had 3 personal fouls.
You might be onto something. That's an interesting
Maybe
and he was ultra aggressive. I think he was 17 shots, right? So
for the game.
I think he had because I think Cat and Brunson might have both had 18 shots.
Yeah, he had 18. And let me tell you something about Cat, just as an aside. I was like, you know what? We're not really featuring him as much. Blah 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 blah. He had 18. He had a, he just seems like you gotta
It's
you can't
effortless.
tell from watching the game. You gotta look at the box score because I was like, yo, we not really featuring Towns. He's not really getting his shots. He's not getting. He had 18 shots. He was only 5 for 18, but he had 18 shots.
I mean, part of that, honestly, Queen, is another big critique from Knicks fans. Again, me not necessarily being one of them, but I have also mentioned it as of late, is the way Brunson gets his and the way Cat gets his. You know what I
Mm-hmm,
mean? Brunson is ball dominant, and
mm-hmm,
I that's not as an insult. That's as a player.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he has to maneuver to get his shot. Cat is either a quick shot, you know what I mean, or it's two steps and he's at the rim.
Right,
You know what I mean? It's not much of an in between. And even when he is holding the ball, most of the time he's looking for outlet.
right,
Like that's when he holds it more than two
right,
seconds. He
right.
you know he's looking for outlet. So it that's why it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. Cat
That's
could get the 18 shots, but it's quick hitters. Where
yeah.
Brunson, when his shot is going, he got to go through his motion. And again, that's fine. But that's why it looks, you know what I mean?
It looks the way
It
it
looks
looks.
different.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that on the Queen's Court next. Is the offense better running through Towns or through Brunson? Are the Knicks more successful running it through Towns or Brunson? No, I wouldn't even say running it through it, featuring,
Mm.
featuring Towns more versus Brunson more on what works best for the team. Or is this team so versatile that it really doesn't matter whether you feature Towns or feature Brunson? But we're going to talk about that on the Queen's Court.
Hopefully I remember my answer, but you know what I mean? Because I got one. But I wanted to ask, a big question mark was, can we win without Towns, considering what are we, either 2-3 or we have or we have 5 games without him? He missed 5 games or 7. I know
I'm
we
not.
only won 2 of them. You know what I mean? So we're
Mhm.
either 2-3 or 2-5 without him. I think 2-3 sounds more. I don't think he missed more than 5 games. Um, and my other question is, can we win without either one of them? Like, do we need them both to pull a win?
You talking about in the playoffs or a particular game?
Um, I won't get into the playoffs right now because God willing, we have them both in the play. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, if they have to miss a game here, there, and it ends up being a crucial game, you know what I mean? An important game, regular season, opponent wise, schedule wise, whatever it be may be. Can Are we good enough to win with one of those guys out,
Yeah.
particularly Towns?
Yeah. I, I think we can. Not long term, but I think we can. I just don't like the way we play when Towns is out. And maybe that's because the game changes when he's not there in terms of what's available, how much space, is of it. It just changes the dynamic. But I just feel like there's still a lot of offense left when he's not there because OG has more offense that we don't see on a daily basis. So there's an
Hmm.
opportunity for him to step up. Bridges has more offense than we see. So there's an opportunity for him to step up as well. So theoretically, you would think that you have enough, at least on the offensive end. Um, if Towns is if town if times is Towns is out.
Hmm.
But you can divert a lot of your defensive resources to Brunson when Cat is not there. And that really changes a lot.
And not only that, you talk about the defense, right? Like they could collapse on him, and they have less. They could focus on him more, but not just that. He has more burden offensively, whether they do that or not. You know what I mean. So, yeah, it's a it hurts you two times.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Which is why it's been really difficult to win without, without Towns. And I think it would be equally as hard without Brunson. I really think it would be equally as hard without Brunson.
The crazy thing is, it's just numbers, but some of our best offensive numbers actually are with Brunson um without Brunson on the floor. Like
Say that
some of
again.
our I said some of our best offensive numbers
Hmm.
are without Brunson on the floor. Like I want to say 3 out of 4 are without him in our top four offensive ratings.
Right. But
So
those are possessions, right? So I'm not sure what the sample size is. How well would that play out over the course of an entire, you know, an entire game, you know? Um, because now ball handling responsibilities would be Cam, Deuce. I guess, Bridges would take on more ball handling responsibilities, but do they command the attention that Brunson um, commands? And so it becomes pretty much the same thing. You can divert a lot of your defensive resources to Towns,
that,
and can
yeah,
those other guys deliver and make them pay for that? I mean, that's basically what it comes down to.
that
And then
probably
you
would
can make them pay.
that probably would be our biggest weakness. Um, and we are worried about that with the team whole. Who's that secondary ball handler? That role hasn't been defined. Shout out to Paris Duggar. Appreciate the super chat. He said, "Cat is a concern because he was shying away from using the right hand in forceful situations, and Brunson is getting ready to do this typical February to June MVP run." Um, the first part I definitely noticed. I was actually gonna mention that when we talked about Towns. So we could dive right into that. He definitely used. I'll say he used his left hand tonight more times than I've seen him use in one particular game.
Hmm.
And it stood out to me. Um, I mean, he did hit that three, but he wasn't shooting the ball well early in the game. I don't know what he ended up shooting though. Um, I think they labeled it a sprain. I think it's a sprain. I think he'll be fine long term. Um, I'm not too concerned about it, but I did notice
Yeah,
he
and
had
he
about
didn't shoot
three
well.
left hand shots today. He's ambidextrous though. Say that
Yeah,
again.
and he didn't shoot well. 5 for 18 overall, 1 of 6 from three. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure his that has something to do with it.
I won't say long term concern. He had about 5 days off with the missed games.
Hmm.
Um, if he got to miss another game because of it at some point, whatever the case, my concern will be up. But to me, that might just be rust and you know just a little bit of pain still, or strain still.
Hmm.
The second part, Brunson's getting ready to do his typical February to June MVP run. Um, is that another concern,
I don't think
Paris?
it's accurate.
You say that
I,
again?
I don't think it's accurate if he's saying that, and maybe I'm reading this wrong because there's two ways to read it, and that's Brunson is about to step up his game. I think if he step up his game, I don't think it's to win the MVP. Um, you know, or here we go again with Brunson, doing what's in the best
That,
interest of himself as
that's
opposed
that's
to
the way I
you
took
could
it.
take it, it could go both,
I,
it could
I, I
go both
took it
ways.
the latter.
Hmm.
Um, and correct me us if you know what I mean if we're wrong. I don't agree with the latter. Step his game up in general, yes. Selfishly, trying to win MVP, no. Number one reason I say is his name ain't in the conversation
I was
right now.
about to say he's not even in the conversation.
So so that like I think I do agree. Last year when his name was in the conversation, he wanted to solidify that. You know what I mean? And this ain't a knock. Like it was great for us. We needed it as well. That's the second part. I don't think we need it the way we needed it last year.
Right.
So but correct us if we're wrong. I do think he will step his game up though, and as a team as well. And shout out to Pashtegger again. He said the league has to get the refs to give cat calls. Um, Man, you touching on it's like you in my notes because that was not necessarily cat in general, but I thought the officiating was not great tonight. We had four successful challenges. I don't know if I've ever seen that in a game. And to be honest, like that's a mark against the referee. You,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like to have four successful challenges in one game, that goes to that would tell me y'all missed more calls than you know what I mean. Y'all missed more calls than that, and that's the way it felt on both sides throughout the game. Um, a lot of the Atlanta fans blame this loss on refereeing. You see that whenever we get a losers lounge.
I will say this about the officiating. I don't usually talk about the officials at all. But this has been the most inconsistent that I've seen the officiating, and I can't tell you how long. What you think is marginal contact is a foul. What you think is a foul, they deem marginal. If I know this is not true, but sometimes it feels like they're targeting Cat. Like he can't do anything
Let me throw it back up there.
on the defensive or offensive end without a foul being called. But yet, when he drives to the lane, he's fouled 2 and 3 times. He never gets the call. Never gets the call. It
And
is as lopsided as I've seen, and I can't tell you how long. And it's not just with Towns.
what
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I just got a question for you. If you're comparing his his game in the sense of what other bigs move the way he does, attacks the rim in similar fashion than he does.
Giannis.
Giannis and is there another one?
Um,
When healthy. Embiid. Like
Embiid.
those are the
And they
only
get the calls.
and that's what I was gonna ask you.
They
You
get
know what I
the
mean?
calls.
Like to me, that's the only two guys. Not if I'm not even saying comparing games, but you can. You know what I mean? But that's not where I'm going. But just the fashion in which they attack the rim and the mobility of a big man and the contact that they play through, they get those calls. So I do agree. Um,
And
I
it's
do agree,
egregious
Paris.
though. This is not like they miss a call a game or they missed a call today, but he gets them in other games consistently. This is consistent when it comes to Carl Anthony Towns.
I agree. I mean, I've mentioned it a few times on different pods. Probably your show, my show. Since I agree. And you know what really confuses me about it is it seems like the soft narrative with Cat, it didn't come from us. You know what I mean? Like it felt like that was the narrative in circles before the trade. It
Mhm.
became a concern to some of us when the trade happened. His play this year has exceeded anyone who thought Cat was soft. You know what I mean? Like the way he fights for rebounds, the leading rebounds. You know what I mean? Like the chippiness he's shown throughout the year.
Mhm.
It's all been positive. You would think that would manifest on the court with the referees as well, if that's You know what I mean? If that's the case, and he's had a problem with the offensive fouls, with the hooking. You know what I mean? With the so you calling that, but when it's a clear lane and he's getting bumped and bruised and knocked around, he don't get that call. I agree. Um,
consistently, not just
Great
tonight,
comment and no,
consistently.
yeah, I agree. And then Parrish said he heard it's a bone chip.
Yeah.
See if I can find
And
it.
then he also clarified that he was talking about Brunson in a positive way, about to play MVP level ball. Okay.
Okay,
All right then.
appreciate it. We was trying to defend him. You know what I mean? Because sometimes different, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Different chat members be on Brunson's butt. Chat low, appreciate the super chat as well. Salute, man. Gotta get you back on the show one time, man. It's been a
Hey, it's been a
minute.
minute. All right.
Um, Cat. I mean, we kind of talked about the lack of calls. Um, I think it's been all year, so I'm not gonna like put tonight's game or tonight's refereeing on his performance. I think that does have more to do with the thumb.
Mhm.
Hopefully it's not a bone chip. Um, I don't know how you. I mean, if you playing through it again, that's another sign of toughness. But I also don't know how I feel about that. If he's playing through it, if there's a healing process and you don't have to do surgery, then I wouldn't mind him. You know what I mean? Seeing if you got to go through that
But
process.
I mean, he took 18 shots. It didn't seem like it, but it seemed like he really picked his spots tonight. Um, 7 assists. Maybe he was looking to pass more. Um, only 9 rebounds, 1 turnover, 1 block. He seemed a bit more passive than usual today, and maybe that was, just due to the fact that he wasn't 100%, but it still helps us, with him being, being out
Out
there.
there. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, um, it's something that's painful that perhaps they feel won't get worse,
Okay.
or the chances of it getting worse is low. Anything is possible.
Yeah. I'm sure it's painful too. Again, my main concern is long term, and we could be scarred, or I could be scarred just from the previous regimes and not just ours. You know what I mean? Just other things that go on throughout the league where they hide injuries and lie to players, and you know what I mean. I will say this: I think the Knicks lie to us. They don't lie. They don't lie to each other.
Right. Right.
But yeah, JJ said it. They said they announced it, and it is a bone chip. So, hopefully, like you said, it's something that is manageable and has low risk of becoming a reoccurring injury. Um, what you thinking about the bench minutes? We didn't really deep dive into it. Um, I do know, this is what a lot of the Knicks fans was asking for. It was nice to see them produce in
Right.
those minutes.
Right. And the producing wasn't always points, right? McBride had 9. Precious only had 2 points. But he had 2 steals, he had 2 assists, he had 5 rebounds. Shaman in his 10 minutes only had 3 points and a rebound, and Payne had 10 points, 2 steals, 2 assists. It's okay if your second unit doesn't help you as far as scoring is concerned, but can they hold it down enough, until the starters get in? And if I'm not mistaken, because I was in and out, I have company, so I was in and out. Did the bench all play together with a starter, or were they like usual two bench players with three starters?
I want to say there was a starter in at all times because I want to say, or at least at most times, whether I mean Brunson or Cat, to be honest, because I think the announcer mentioned that.
There was a
Like,
three guard lineup. Listen, we haven't done that all season. So if we're getting to the point where we're playing all four of our bench players with a starter, then that means that the bench has earned some trust together.
mhm.
That they can play together. So it seems like they're on track. Um, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. But you can't just play guys minutes and they're super ineffective. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
You just can't. So I mean, I get it. You're buying minutes for your starters, and so they'll be fresher. They'll be fresher, but they're gonna have a lot more work to do. If your bench player can't come in
Here's
and
here's
add
what I
to it or hold it down.
here's what I will say. Out of three out of the four starters, I think have earned and deserved regular rotation minutes
Yes.
within a range night in and night out. You know what I mean? No less than this, maybe no more than this. Those three guys are Deuce McBride for sure. I'm gonna say Campaign has earned that
Right.
from his play. As sporadic as his playing time has been, I
Hmm.
feel like he has earned it.
Hmm.
Um I'll put Precious in there as well. A lot of that has to do it's carryover. You know what I mean? But his play has also improved since he's been back as the season has gone on. You know what I mean? So I think he's still gonna peak at a higher play than he's currently playing at.
Hmm.
So those three for sure. Shamit's the only guy that I think is questionable as far as
Right.
earned his role. Showed it on the court. You know what I mean? I don't know what he's done in practice,
Right.
but those other three guys deserve, you know what I mean, a good chunk of minutes night in and night out.
Well, what's a
And
good chunk though?
I mean, I think you had a chart or something early in the year, like before the season started.
Right.
Um, and I'm not remembering exactly what your number was,
Hmm.
where you broke it down,
Hmm.
but tonight I think we had 57 or 59 minutes, and I'm thinking 50 minutes from the bench night in and night out should be solid.
Hmm. Yeah. Out of the 240. Yeah.
Like a minimum of 50. I
46.
think that's a solid, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Well,
So
we got more than that tonight.
yeah, I think we had 59, right? So you know what I mean, maybe
I would have
60.
to I would have to add it up, but
I did quick math before the show. That's the number that's sticking out in my head. But that was great, man. That was a great performance, great showing, and I'm just excited. You know what I mean, we bounced back. We usually do. I'm happy more so because most of our bounce backs this year have been against a lesser opponent, and I think with this potentially being a first round matchup, um them actually being a real threat, um and they're different. They're a different team than the team that beat us. We're a different team that got beat by them. you,
yeah,
you know what I mean? They have a infusion of youth around Trey Young, which I don't think they've ever really had before. And that's revigorating.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And I'm sure he feels like he could lead them far. So I think, yeah, quality opponent, potential playoff matchup. We played with that energy, and we got a good win off a bounce back against a good opponent, as opposed to an easy opponent or on the back bounce back.
yeah, yeah. They only played 9 too. But they got somebody like DeAndre Hunter, who's basically a starter, who got
Mhm.
30 minutes. I don't know if we have that. I don't know if Deuce is a 30-minute um a game guy. Um, but I know before he got injured, he was playing like 25. If not consistently, there were games when he
Yeah.
played 25, you know.
Shoot, they also got Bogey off the bench, who
And they got Bogan. He only played
hasn't played well.
15.
Yeah, he hasn't played well. This year. I've heard a lot of trade speculations with him, but
And Clint Capella with
it-
20. So they just have a better bench than we do.
exactly. But
And
that's
when you
what.
have a better bench, they command more minutes.
But this is what they did, Queen.
Mhm.
Going back to that infusion of youth surrounding Trey Young, they're all starting the
Right.
youth. You know what I mean? They relegated their veterans. Like those guys are used to starting next to Trey
Mhm.
Young,
Mhm.
and they said, "All right, that didn't work. We're
Mhm.
gonna strengthen our bench by giving this veteran presence off the bench." And
Mhm.
now these guys who run, jump, you know what I mean, who play Trey Young's style of basketball, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? We're gonna let them rock out with him and encourage them, build them up. Um,
you're
and
right.
again, that's not a
And
shot
Hunter, Capella,
at
and Bogey, all three who have started with Trey
mhm.
are now in the second unit.
So that solidifies their second unit no matter what, right? You know what I mean? They don't have to have years playing in that second unit. They all their numbers could dip, but it still gives them a solid bench compared to young guys in that role, not sure when they're gonna play. That you know what I mean? Like these guys come in ready to go, know what to do, been there before. So they're not a contender, but they're
Mhm.
a nicely built team, and you get to see what their future's like. Maybe some of the guys go in a big trade, them young guys, but if not, they got those veterans with fairly big salaries to move as well. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'm good. We could get ready for the Queen's Court. What time you
I have it set for um 7 and 7:45.
7:45? All right, give us a little break. I'm gonna run to the store. I'll be right back, Queen. I'll see you on Queen's Court. Shout out to the chat, man. Appreciate you. Shout out to the replay gang.
Yep.
Shout out to Shuttle out there running them streets all aboard. Shout out to Sim and yeah, replay gang. Until next time, your blackest time. We out of here. Queen,
Peace.
appreciate you.
Appreciate you.